Welcome to part 4 of Stories. Stories given by the original speakers, stories that have inspired me throughout the years. Today's topic is what I'm calling examples. You'll hear from Spencer W. Kimball, Thomas S. Monson, Henry B. Eyring, and others. I've thrown in there a poem which I feel captures the essence of being a great example. All of these stories have at some point taught me something, and I invite you to watch, enjoy, and take away from it whatever you need for your life. Enjoy.
And you are influencing the lives of individuals either for good or for ill, which influence will be felt for generations to come. As I pondered how we might best provide such examples, I thought of an experience I had some years ago while attending a stake conference. During the general session, I observed a young boy sitting with his family on the front row of the stake center. I was seated on the stand. As the meeting progressed, I began to notice that if I crossed one leg over the other, the young boy would do the same thing. If I reversed the motion and crossed the other leg, he would follow suit. I would put my hands in my lap, and he would do the same. I rested my chin in my hand, and he also did so. Whatever I did, he would imitate my actions. This continued until the time approached for me to address the congregation. I decided to put him to the test. I looked squarely at him, certain I had his attention, and then I wiggled my ears. My wife told me not to say that. He made a vain attempt to do the same, but I had him. He just couldn't quite get his ears to wiggle. He turned to his father, who was sitting next to him, and whispered something to him. He pointed to his ears and then to me. As his father looked in my direction, obviously to see my ears wiggle, I sat solemnly with my arms folded, not moving a muscle. The father glanced back skeptically at his son, who looked slightly defeated. He finally gave me a sheepish grin, shrugged his shoulders. I've thought about that experience over the years as I've contemplated how, particularly when we're young, we tend to imitate the example of our parents, our leaders, our peers. The prophet Brigham Young said, "We should never permit ourselves to do anything that we are not willing to see our children do. We should set them an example that we wish them to imitate."
There is a gravestone near my home of a mother and grandmother. She and her husband were sealed in the temple of God to each other and to their posterity for time and all eternity. The inscription on the gravestone reads, "Please, no empty chairs." She asked for that inscription because she knew that whether the family will be together depends on the choices each family member makes. The word "please" is there because neither God nor she can compel another to choose happiness. And there is Satan, who wants misery, not happiness, in families, in this life and in the next. My hope today is to suggest some choices, which may seem difficult, that would assure you that you have qualified for there to be no empty chairs in your family in the world to come. First, I give counsel to husbands and wives. Pray for the love which allows you to see the good in your companion. Pray for the love that makes the weaknesses and mistakes seem small. Pray for the love to make your companion's joy your own. Pray for the love to want to lessen the load and soften the sorrows of your companion. I saw this in my parents' marriage. In my father's final illness, in my mother's final illness, the more uncomfortable she became, the more giving her comfort became the dominant intent of my father's life. He asked that the hospital set up a bed in her room. He was determined to be there to be sure she wanted for nothing. He walked the miles to work each morning and back to her side at night through those difficult times for her. I believe it was a gift from God to him that his power to love grew when it mattered so much to her. I think he was doing what Jesus would have done out of love.
Long years ago, when I was in the stake presidency in the St. Joseph Stake in Arizona, one Sabbath day I filled an assignment in the Eden Ward. The building was a small one, and most of the people were sitting close to us as we sat on the raised platform about 1.5 feet above the floor of the building itself. As the meeting proceeded, my eye was attracted to 7 little boys on the front seat of the chapel. I was delighted with 7 little boys in this ward conference. I made a mental note, then shifted my interest to other things. Soon my attention was focused on the 7 little boys again. Seemed strange to me that each of the 7 little fellows raised his right leg and put it over the left knee. And then in a moment, all would change at the same time and put the left leg over the right knee. I thought it was unusual, but I just ignored it. In a moment or two, all in unison would brush their hair with their right hands. And then all 7 little boys leaned lightly on their wrist and supported their face by their hand. And then simultaneously they went back to the crossing of their legs again. It all seemed so strange, and I wondered, as I was trying to think of what I was going to say in the meeting, and then all at once, it came to me like a bolt of lightning. These boys were mimicking me. That day I learned a lesson of my life, that we who are in positions of authority must be careful indeed, because others watch us and find in us their example.
Right. A 6-year-old primary child said, "When I was chosen to be a class helper, I could choose a friend to work with me. I picked a boy in my class who bullied me because he never gets chosen by others. I wanted to make him feel good." What did this child observe? He noticed that the class bully never got chosen. What did he do to serve? He simply chose him to be his friend as a class helper. Jesus taught, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you.
This poem by C.C. Miller entitled The Echo illustrates the importance and impact parents have as they influence their children. "'Twas a sheep, not a lamb, that strayed away in the parable Jesus told, a grown-up sheep that strayed away from the 99 in the fold. And why for the sheep should we seek and earnestly hope and pray? Because there is danger when sheep go wrong. They lead the lambs astray. Lambs will follow the sheep, you know, wherever the sheep may stray. When sheep go wrong, it won't take long till the lambs are as wrong as they. And so with the sheep we earnestly plead, for the sake of the lambs today. For when the sheep are lost, what a terrible cost the lambs will have to pay.